This is problem number 20 off the linear application sheet. Now, Luann, in this case we have two investments. One earns 5%, the other 3%. The total invested is $10,000. 475 was what was earned. My question for you is, how much was invested at 5%? Now, assuming that you don't know how to do the problem, my question is always the same. It's what are your subjects? In this case, what are your subjects, Luann?
The investments.
And we'll very cleverly label them investment number 1 and investment number 2. And I apologize for my handwriting already. Now, what do you know about the investments, Luann?
The first one earns 5%.
So specifically what you're telling me is the percent interest. The first one earns 5% interest, or percent earned if you prefer, and the second one is 3%. Okay, what else do we know?
I know that my total, I've invested $10,000.
And again, that's not investment 1 or investment 2. Total is actually another subject, so I'll add an extra line to my chart. And I want you to remember that I can leave this line blank. I don't have to know what the total percent was. But what I do know, again, was that there was $10,000 invested. So what are you telling me? You're specifically telling me is how many dollars were invested. 10,000 is the total, so I'll put that on the total line.
Okay.
Now, you are allowed to have a blank on your total line. You are not allowed to have these two blanks here on the body of your chart. So, what will we call X this time, Luann?
What will we call X?
What do you want to make your own unknown? Because obviously I didn't tell you the number of dollars invested in either one. So you want investment 1 or investment 2?
Investment 1.
That's a fine choice. We'll just call that X. And again, it really didn't matter. Now, let's figure out what needs to go down for investment 2. And again, students, if you just see what to put down for investment 2, I want you to go ahead and do that. But in this case, we're pretending that my lovely, intelligent wife does not see the solution, and she will pretend that she doesn't know, and I will lead her through the steps that I want you to go through. So, Luann, I'm going to ask you to invent a number here for X. How many $1,000 would you like to have in investment number 1?
4,000.
Excellent choice. A nice round number, easy to work with. Thank you for giving me that nice value. You would assume we'd actually practiced or rehearsed this in advance, wouldn't you, if you didn't know better, students? So if there was $4,000 invested in the first one, Luann, how much would be invested in the second one?
6,000.
And where did you get the $6,000 from?
The total, 10,000 minus the 4,000.
So basically, you said 10,000 minus 4,000. But we made up the 10,000. Oh, I'm sorry. The 10,000 was real. The 4,000 you made up. The 4,000 was just taking the place of what?
The first investment.
Which was?
X.
So where we had a 4,000 here, I'm just going to cross that out and put an X. Because the 4,000 again was just taking the place of that. If you did 10,000 minus 4,000, then the real investment is 10,000 minus X. Now, what's the last thing we know in this case, Luann?
We've earned $475 altogether.
Right, altogether. That's not investment 1 or investment 2. That's the total. And again, what you're describing to me is the dollars earned. And there's 475 total dollars earned. So my question for you would be, what do I put here on this blank of my chart, which again, I'm not allowed to leave any blanks on my chart, on the body of the chart.
I have no idea.
And so what we're going to do again is we're going to put that $4,000 back in. So what would it be, Luann, if you assumed 5% interest on $4,000? How many dollars interest would you actually earn then?
I would do 4,000 times 0.05.
Correct.
And that's $200.
Very good, Luann. That'd be $200. Let me just kind of put that off to the side here in pen. And again, how did you do the calculation of $200?
I did 4,000 times 0.05.
And since the 4,000 was, again, just made up, you didn't
Right.
actually know that. Instead of that, instead of 0.05 times 4,000, you'll simply have 0.05 times
X.
X. Now, how many dollars would you earn on the second investment? And again, do you see what to put down on the blank this time?
I would do 0.03 times 10,000 minus X.
Correct. Because, as was the other case, you took the percent that you were earning times the investment, and that gave you the dollars earned. So in this case, you took your 3%, or 0.03, times the dollars invested, which was 10,000 minus X, and that gave you the dollars earned. Now, in this case, let's go back for just a second, and let's go ahead and put your 4,000 in here. 10,000 minus 4,000 would have given you $6,000, we said, in that investment. 3% of 6,000 would have been 180. And my question for you is, if you invested the money the way you suggested, 4,000 on the first one and 6,000 on the second one, which would have given you 10,000 total, you would have earned $200 on the first investment and 180 on the second investment. And would that be the correct answer, Luann?
No, that's 380, and that's not
correct.
400.
And you know it. If it were the correct answer, though, what would have been true? You could have taken your 200 and done what?
Added the 180.
And if you'd had the correct answer, then that would have been your correct solution of $475. But of course it wasn't. It was, as you pointed out, 380, not 475. So this wasn't the right solution. But it at least tells us what to do for our equation. This relationship should have been true. So in this case, it wasn't really a 200. What was the algebra there, Luann?
0.05 times X.
Plus, what was the algebra for the 180?
0.03 times 10,000 minus X.
Gives us what the total dollars earned really was.
475.
And by solving this equation, we should now actually be able to come up with our equation. Multiplying through the parentheses quickly here would give me 300 minus 0.03x. And that would be $475. Combining my like terms gives me 0.02x plus 300 equals 475. Subtracting 300 from both sides would give me 175. And dividing both sides by my 0.02 would give me 8,750. Let's go ahead and check that answer, folks. I had 8,750 for x. That would mean my other solution would be 10,000 minus the 8,750, which would be 1,250. 5% of 8,750 would be 437.50. 3% of my 1,250 would be just 37.50. And the total of those two investments does equal 475. And the total dollars invested does equal the given total we had of 10,000. So I do know that that solution is indeed correct.